Okay, so for this one, I thought I would sort of do a follow-up video to my previous one and run some clips in the background so you can see what I'm saying. Um, sort of have proof, so I weren't just saying things. I did say in the previous video, if you didn't see it, that I lost the clips when I reinstalled Windows, a typical freezy moment. So I thought for this one I'd run them in the background so you can actually see for yourself what this DLC has done to the game. You can still play it. Don't get me wrong, you can still play it. There are ways that you can get around this, of course, but for me to do that, I would actually have to literally change the way I play the game, and I refuse to do that. Um, People have said pay to win before on this game, and I've always laughed because I've just used Death Dealer's Fate and used my brain. I've been able to play through every patch where they've said it's paid to win, against all these mythics. But now we are actually in a pay to win version of ESO. That's what this is. There's no other word for it. Of course, there's going to be someone that says, well, check my video out. I can play, but it's pay to win. It's pay to win now, unless you want to play the game a certain way. That's what this patch is. But I said some words in that previous video intentionally because I wanted to get these clips back. And of course, my horse, the Cringe Lords, came out in force to show me exactly what this DLC has done to this game. And you heard me mention toxicity. They definitely did tell people, certain players, not to leave keeps on their own. And they're running around in like 30-man groups with buffs, just on the most broken cringe on the game, like literally playing to trials tanks in PvP. What, but what I don't understand is, right, how can people enjoy bringing tanks into PvP? This is something, like, do you know what, as well? I'm going to say quickly, got to cover this. If I cover this, I have to, right? Just in case just in case. There's probably nothing to do with what I said, right, about the sword and board passage, but just in case some people watched that and took it the wrong way, and went and told other people. I just want to make it clear, right? When I'm talking about unkillable tanks, I am not talking about the people that just like tanking. There's nothing wrong with that. People have been doing that for years. I've never understood this, right? But some people enjoy doing it. There is a play style, right? So saying nerf the sword and board passives would hurt those players. So the devs literally cannot do that. They can't do it, right? Because that wouldn't be fair to those people. That would ruin their fun. Like, do you know what I mean? So what I think they should do is well, they have to do something, right? Because you can't have people at unkillable tank status two-shotting people with eviscerate. You cannot allow that to happen on this game. If you join PvP, there has to be something at risk. There has to be. If not, there is pointless gameplay, like literally. And that's what these people are doing. I can show you clip after clip. That's how they're playing this game. They are mitigating every damage type, removing any skill needed to survive, right? Which is just pointless gameplay. And they can do this now, and they can still two-shot people while doing this. Absolutely ridiculous gameplay, boring, pointless. It looks like I've been nerfed. That's what this looks like. Go watch my videos, my solo gameplay with the Arcanist and the build video. Go watch those videos and then come back and look at this one. This is pay to win. That's what this is. So what can they do about this? What can they do to change this? Right. I had a good think about it. Any logical thinking person is going to say, well, you can't just stop those normal block tanks that don't want to do damage from playing the game. Like, you can't do that because that's just not fair, right? So now they have a predicament on their hands. What I think they should do is say, right, um, when you come into PvP, any PvP zone, if you try and mitigate more than two damage types on your build, you are going to lose 20% of your outgoing damage. No matter what you are using, you're losing 20%. That's what they should do, because this is just cringe. Like, there's no gameplay here. When you actually look at the gameplay, there's no PvP. There is no PvP. It's just people moving around on, literally block tanks in PvP, but they can kill you in 2 seconds. That's just pointless gameplay. So I think they should say each damage type you try to mitigate, You will, each one you put on your build, you'll lose 20% each time of your outgoing damage. That's the only thing I can think of to stop people doing it, right? Then the block tanks can still play their block builds. There's nothing wrong with that. People have been doing that for years, literally years, stacking like 30, 40 players. Some people are good at it, or whatever you say, they really can just fucking live forever. But you should not be able to, like, people are coming into PvP doing that and intending to brawl and kill people. And they can now. You cannot allow that. You cannot allow that to continue. That needs to be the first port of call, is stopping that happening. Now, I think they could also say, I think they should say, hold their hands up and say, we've made a mistake, guys. I'm sorry, we've made a mistake. We need to remove the major buffs from the Monomyth Reforged. And the reason why is because look at this gameplay. Look what has created. Look at this riveting gameplay on the Elder Scrolls Online now. I think they have to say that, or they could just say, we're going to change the major protection to minor. Let them have the damage, but take away that major protection. I personally think they should remove both and say, we're never going to give these buffs again, ever, to anyone in PvP as a permanent buff. You should not have those buffs. Yeah, because what people are doing, and what people are doing is they're adding it to builds that are already completely broken, right? And what I mean by this is, you've got people on, like, they're putting down Purify, right? They're putting down Purify, and they've got Warden. They've got the Netch, right? So they've got um, completely mitigating all dots. That's your poisons, that's your dots from abilities, that's your glyphs on your weapons. Everything, right, is now completely mitigated, right? Then you've got so they've got a sword and board on their back bar. What is that? That's like 50% of all blockable damage has now been mitigated, right? So, right. So in my opinion, if you've got that on your back bar, you can pretty much just cancel out Ironclad, right? But even if they put Ironclad in, say, just for example, they can do this as well, right? They can put Ironclad in, and they can mitigate direct damage. They can put Jeweler's Rebuff in, mitigate single target damage. They could put Unassailable in. They can mitigate AoE damage. They could have Rallying Cry on their back bar and mitigate critical damage. So now what you have is you have a walking tank that's probably got major, minor force. They've got vitality going towards their heals as well. And these players can just nuke you in 2 hits, right? Because they on their front bar, they've got say they've got 3 animal companion skills that's going towards their crit. They've got some light blade skills going towards their crit, right? Then they've got like the passives, I mean. Then they've got say they've got the Shadow Mundus, that's more crit, and they wear a crit set on their front bar, right? Right, and then what they do is, right, don't forget they've got a scribing skill as well, giving them a shield, major force, minor force, and like 2k extra damage, right? And then they've got eviscerate on their front bar. That's how they're going to kill you, right? They're gonna intentionally drop their health, right, on their unkillable tank, right? They're going to intentionally drop their health, and then they're going to swipe you twice with eviscerate, and you're dead. Riveting gameplay there. Highly skilled gameplay there on the Elder Scrolls Online. What the fuck are we doing? What kind of point are we at here? Like, seriously. So I was complaining about Eviscerate 2-3 years ago. Literally 2 or 3 years ago. You can go fact check me on my video where I posted it. I posted like a screenshot of like arrows pointing towards it. I was complaining about that 2-3 years ago. And when this became popular again, I think the guy's name was Felon. FE7ON. I'm not calling him out. I'm not slating him off. Nothing like that. Right. I'm just saying. I thought this was like cringy before this. Right. Like I say, you can go fact check it. So I'm not slating that guy off. I'm just saying that one hit the warden one he made when that was describing, not subclassing. That became really popular. My friend asked me to play that, and I said no. The second I saw Eviscerate and saw the board on the back bar, I just straight up said no, mate. I'm not playing that because I already thought that was cringy, right? Not he's cringy. I already thought Eviscerate was super, super cringy. And now what people are doing is just stacking crit as high as it can go, and just like I say, they're just 2-tapping you. Throw subclassing on top, then give them major force for their trouble, right? Minor berserk, and minor vulnerability. Now we have disgusting cringe, like the most dirty cringe on the game, right? And of course, you've got Nightblade Sork. Don't forget Nightblade Sork, whatever Nightblade Sork Warden they could be doing this with, right? And on top of that, don't forget they got Shorks. They got Shorks, right? That's major minor breach, right? As well, right? And then on top of that, if they actually do, which is fucking unimaginable, if they actually do take any sort of damage, they've got an AoE the size of fucking Narnia to put down in doorways, walkways, and that'll block the whole thing. So you are getting charmed. Like it's just, what is this? Well, we're at a point of just silliness now in this game. There has to be some kind of, say they don't want to change the mythic, right? I think they should. Minimum they should do to that is take off that protection. They have to. If they don't, I think they should start attacking the carry buttons now. I think eviscerate should just eviscerate, arterial burst, and blood for blood should just be changed to a heal, completely removed from damage. So people now have to play the game minimum. Right? You're not just going to cringe one button. You're going to have to play the game now because that does more damage. That does more damage than my Dawnbreaker. That's that skill. That does more damage than my ultimate. That has to go. Cannot leave that on the game. If you're giving people major minor force, minor berserk, minor vulnerability, major minor breach, that's too much. That's too much now. Got to get rid of that. So many people just hard crutch on that. Literally, there's only a few people that I have fought personally that aren't using this. Get it off the game. Oh my god, skill. I think it's so skillless and boring to do that. It's just like I say, it's just like a carry button. That's what that is, and people are hard cringing on it. And like I said, the people that are playing that guy's build, I'm pretty sure that it has to be that guy's build, right? Because people just don't make their own builds; they just copy paste. Again, no offense to that guy, but this subclass version, I bet that's his as well. And I've seen people on my server, well, PCEU, not my server, you know what I mean. But people on that server that have came to that server, they probably like disgruntled Xbox players because they've came with a problem. What I call the virtual hard on, where they just won't leave you alone. They want you, like they'll stop a fight literally to jump on you and team you down with someone else, like the proper cringies. And I've seen these people come from low CP, and they don't just set up a camp and play these builds for a couple of campaigns, but they've excavated the fucking ground, put concrete foundations, built a 4-bedroom house, plan to get married and have kids on these builds. Literally, they don't ever plan to come off them ever. They're staying on them, and they have literally since that Scriven patch. They have not come off these builds. Like these certain players I'm talking about, they have lived on these builds. You never see them on a DK. You never see him on a ward. You never see him on a Nightblade. You never see him on a Sork. You never see him on a Necro. Nothing. You never see him on a Templar. Only that broken cringe build because that is completely broken. So they're going to play that and nothing else on the game. Not one thing. They're not even going to try anything. That and that only. Like what? Do you see what I'm saying? What the fuck is this? There's got to be things taken away. Do you know what I mean? When things get this broken, they have to be taken away. Like I say, if they're not going to change the mythic, I think they should start taking away the carry buttons. That's the only thing they can do. And like the Nightblade Sword combo, with whatever else on the end, I think they should do something to stop that as well. Maybe if you use that combination, you lose a bit of crit damage or something. Or maybe they just drop the crit cap to stop this. That's too cringy. Like at the moment, that is either hit tank that won't die or die in 2 seconds. That's what ESO PVP is right now. That's what it is. That's what it looks like. Like I say in the video, you can see in this video my my little power bar is changing. My weapon and spell damage is changing because I'm trying every set on the game. Every set that I could afford to put on and try. Right, I'm out of gold. Literally, all the gold that I had, all of it's gone, the whole lot. I tried so many sets, let me tell you. I tried raising my weapon and spell damage so high, like 7,500. I was trying pure pen, pure crit, um, debuff sets, old and new, the new ones that are out. Just everything. You can't do damage to these players. Literally, if the people that have got the mythic on, you can tell immediately when you're fighting someone that hasn't got it and someone that has got it, and that's really, really bad. That's pay to win. That's what that is. Um, of course, you can still kill people. I got plenty of clips. I got more clips on my Sork though than I have my Arcanist. Yeah, it's just weird. For some reason, I've got more clips. Been able to get more clips on my Sork than my Arcanist. And like I say, of course, there are ways that you could counter this, but in order to do that, I'd have to play the game in a way that I don't like playing it. I have no interest in playing it. I think I even changed the mythic. You know, I don't really got the clips for that, but I did change the mythic a couple of times. I tried Mark and Ring. I tried Malakath Band. I tried Serpent Coil. I was trying literally everything. You can't do damage to these players. Even when I was debuffing, I was intentionally debuffing these tanks so that to see if DC could kill them. They couldn't kill them. We're at the point where people are bringing trials tanks into PvP, mitigating every damage type with the intention of brawling and killing people, and they can do it. Oh no. Oh my. I really hope the devs hold their hands up and say they've made a mistake. I hope that they do. If they don't, because people have paid for it, of course, that would be a bit awkward. If they don't, like I said, I think they should attack the carry buttons and take them away. So people actually have to play the game and use, actual skills, not just spam eviscerate. It's just what are we doing here? Um, Now, I want to talk about what is skill on the Elder Scrolls Online, right? Because we had a little conversation in the DZ zone chat when I was saying this is the skill has been removed from the game, right? And there was some guy that piped up. I'm not going to say who they are or nothing like that. There was some guy that piped up and he said, if these players are mitigating all your damage and then killing you in 2 hits, obviously they're skilled and you're not. Oh man. I think, like I said, I think some of the players, the really good players, don't play anymore. And now we've got this, massive group of people that don't know, what being a skilled player is. That's the only thing I can put it down to. People are saying that, so because they're bringing a trials tank into PvP and can two-shot you because they're paying to win. They're skilled. Oh man. But if we go all the way back in the day, people had a different opinion on what skill was, right? Because I remember being a full noob on this game. Don't forget, I was an FPS player right before I came here. I had no fucking idea what I was doing. Let me tell you, I was so lost when I started playing this game. Um, but then I started to take notice of people, started to watch people on Twitch, watch their videos, like Sage Toad, Ness, Horcrux, Dots. Remember the Dots DK? I fucking loved that because that was when I was first able to start killing people. You know what I mean? So I started listening to people, listen to what they were saying, tried their builds. I had like 3 or 4 different builds from like all those people, and I was running around like just nuking people on them. And the veteran players started to get angry with me. Not one or two, like I had multiple people messaging me saying, "Oh, another YouTube build." Like I'm talking like 15, 20 people, another YouTube build, you've got no skill, that saying things like that. And so they believed that skill was making your own build and performer, which is what I ended up doing. I ended up still beating those same players. But when it comes to fast forward to this day and age. But I even think back then, and even I somewhat agree with those players, what they said, right, where making your own build. I do. I think there's a point you get to on this game where you've gained enough experience. If you just sit on meta, you are just a toxic guy. Do you know what I mean? That's just the way. That's the way I see it, right? That's not some law, ESO law. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I believe somewhat that is the case, right? There should be a point where you decide to mold a build to yourself instead of playing someone else's, because that's molded to their playstyle, not yours. Do you know what I mean? Sort of thing. But I believe the true skill on this game lies in survival. And you probably think of what? Like the true skill, I believe, has always lied in survival, giving yourself a moderately, right? Just say it one more time, moderately tanky build. I always say I defend against the majority, right? So if people are playing like fringe range builds and heavy attack builds and stuff, I'll put in ironclad and I'll put in duelistry buff, right? And then any other damage type that people use to attack me, I'll use my genuine player skill to survive, right? And what I mean by that is, well, say for example, right? I don't think doing damage in PvP on this game is particularly hard. It's not, right? That's why I always laugh and poke fun at people when they use them scripts and macros, right? Because it's just that's just laughable that people do that, right? It's not hard to push buttons, right? So you're going to pick the two best sets that you can, like one defensive set, one damage set. Some people run two damage sets, but one defensive set, one damage set. Make yourself moderately tanky with sort of decent outgoing damage, and you're going to get the best sustain for your character you can while using them two sets. Because sometimes you're going to pick two sets that ain't got very good sustain. You know what I mean? That's just the way it is. It's up to you what you pick. So you're going to use your genuine player skill now. Say you kill someone, right, and there's three more players chasing you, right? I believe the skill comes in your decision making, right, in your survival, choosing the right path, choosing the right path, blocking at the right time, roll dodging at the right time, line of sighting to keep yourself alive. Um, and then you might get lucky, see one out in the open, you quickly stun them, hit them with an ult, execute them. Then you're back on your back foot again. You got to use your decision making again to stay alive and try get rid of the last two players. I think that's where the skill has always lied on this game. And when you come into PvP and you mitigate every single damage type on the game, um, you're choosing to play the game in an unskilled way. And there was people in the zone chat that was saying, "Oh, but the devs put it in the game, trying to slam the devs and that." And I said, that is on the devs. A part of it is, right. I'm not trying to defend the devs. Don't think of that. Fucking hell. They've helped me get the PC working, but I'll say if it's a bad decision, me, I'll say it. But I am grateful they helped me get the game working, of course. But you know, what I said to them was, the devs do not choose how you play the game. There's things in the game. Of course there is. There's things in the game. I could buy that right now if I wanted to, right, and go do that. But I'm not doing it. Why? Out of principle. So I just think it's ridiculous. Right. But what I said to them was, when you log into this game, the devs don't make your build. You do. You choose the skill level you want to play the game at, right? Uh, and this was already bad in the past. This was already bad, right? Because we had things like the Talk mythic. What's that called? Talk of the Allied King or something like that. When that got added to the game, I didn't complain too much because I saw that as a way of sort of bringing balance between skillful players and people that might not know how to play the game yet or might not know how to make a build. So I saw that as sort of balancing out the chances of them still having a nice fight, getting a good fight in, right? So I had no problem with that. Then the Esoteric Greaves. Now, I made that Warden build with the Esoteric Greaves, and I'll tell you straight, right? After about a week of messing around with them, I stopped using them. You want to know why? Because I felt like I was too tanky, and that's why I feel like I'm qualified to say that I wouldn't want to put that mythic on. I wouldn't want to wear that. I tried that on the test server, and when we were dueling with that monomyth, right? I forgot that was even on the game. So the whole time I was dueling, right, I was like nuking people in one hit that were using that because they were the ones that told me to put it on, right? I was able to nuke them in one hit. I was fighting people that had it on my werewolf and still being able to kill them sometimes. And then when they told me about it, I put it on and I was like, fucking what? Do you know what I mean? Like, do you know what I mean? Now this is even more buffs you can put on a build. But when we were fighting each other with that on, no one looked like these players on live. Not one player looked like they were just tanking forever. Not one. We were like near nuking each other. Whether I had that on or not, we were like just near nuking each other with subclass and skills. But when you see it on the live in full power, mate, let, let me say it like this. I feel like I'm qualified to say that, anyone that wants to play the game with skill involved, right, would not wear that. They would not complete, or they wouldn't put their CP and things how so you're literally unkillable. No skilled player would do that on this game. Not one, I promise you. Right? Because I'm an average player, so I think I'm qualified to talk about what a skilled player would do, right? I'm an average player. I always say that I like muck around and say I'm an average player with a bit of extra sauce. Do you know what I mean? Just to be cocky. But I am an average player. I'm happy to say that. I've always said that. So I feel like I'm qualified to say if I couldn't stand the Esoteric Greaves, right, I couldn't stand that because I felt like a tank. Right? I did not enjoy playing that for that reason. That's why I took it off and went back to Death Dealer. So I know myself, if I put on that Monomyth Reforged, I'm not going to enjoy the game. I'm going to feel like a tank, right? And I'm not going to enjoy the game. And that's why I feel like I'm qualified to say any like truly skilled player would not even put that on, especially with a sword and board on their back bar, right? 100% no skilled player on this game would do it. I'm telling you for free, they wouldn't enjoy it. They would find it boring because the skill most people find in the game is keeping their self alive when fighting outnumbered. If you're just playing a walking tank, you've removed the skill needed to play the game completely. Understand? Got to make that really clear. So again, this is just my opinion. I don't think that last bit I said just there though. I don't think that's up for debate personally. But like I said, as a whole, they should remove the buffs. 100%, they should remove the buffs. If they don't, then they need to take away the carry buttons. 100%, because we're at the level now of just pure cringe. There's no other word to say it. This is cringy gameplay. People bringing tanks into PvP as end of days, and they're able to do damage as end of days for the game. Really, really bad. Um, I'm going to stop there because I've been talking now for a while. The next one I will make, I have got some I've got clips of me killing people and stuff. I just wanted to do this one first, so people knew I wasn't talking shit. Um, you know, if there's any clips left, I'll let them play out, and then I'll catch you in the next one in a bit.